Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Deep Dive. We're glad to have you with us.
We are.
So today we're diving into, well, another great source one of you shared. It's a YouTube transcript.
Yeah, this one's from the English Speaking course channel. The video is called English Conversations Practice Speak Like a Native English Speaker. Quite a title.
It is, yeah. And our mission today, our goal for this deep dive is really to unpack this transcript. We want to pull out those practical bits, those interesting examples of how English conversations actually sound in everyday life.
Exactly. Not just textbook examples, but, the real rhythm and flow. We're looking for those useful phrases, the natural back and forth, the little things that make it sound, well, native.
And this transcript is, honestly, it's a goldmine. It covers such a huge range of situations. We've got everything from basic hellos and asking for directions.
The everyday stuff.
All the way to making plans, dealing with relationship issues, even talking about health problems or sorting out roommate situations. It's incredibly varied.
It really is. So this exploration should give you a fantastic glimpse into how native speakers actually communicate across all these different contexts. We'll be zooming in on useful phrases, sure, but also the overall feel of the dialogue. The flow.
The flow, yeah, because that's often the hardest part to grasp, isn't it? It's not just the words, but how they connect.
Precisely. It's the rhythm, the pauses, the way people interrupt or build on each other's points. That's what makes it sound real.
Okay. So, where should we start? The beginning seems logical. Those initial greetings, the casual encounters.
Sounds good. The transcript kicks off with Lucy and Jessica. A very simple morning greeting.
Right. Good morning. Good morning. Super standard.
But then immediately, how are you doing? And the response, I'm doing great, thank you, and you.
That and you part is non-negotiable, really, isn't it, in casual chat?
Oh, absolutely. It's like rule number one of polite small talk. You have to return the question. It signals engagement. It says, I'm not just broadcasting, I'm interacting.
Right. If you just answer and stop, it feels cold, dismissive.
Yeah, exactly. Like you don't want to continue the conversation. It can be a way to shut things down, actually, if that's your intent. But here, Jessica keeps it open.
And then she adds that little bit about what she's doing, just walking around and enjoying the sun. Why add that?
Well, it serves a couple of purposes, I think. First, it provides a simple, non-demanding context for the encounter. Like, this is why I'm here, bumping into you. No big agenda.
Okay, so it makes the random meeting feel less random.
Sort of, yeah. And second, it's classic small talk filler. It's safe, pleasant, and relatable. Talking about the weather or just, ambient activities is a super common way to bridge that initial conversational gap.
Keeps it light, no pressure.
Exactly. It's about establishing that social connection, however brief, rather than conveying, critical information.
Then Lucy mentioned she's going to see her grandma. A little personal detail.
And Jessica asks how far away she lives. Just a natural follow-up question showing interest.
And Jessica's response, you are lucky I miss my grandparents, too.
That adds a touch of empathy. Shared feeling.
Yeah, it's a nice little moment of connection. Even in this super brief exchange, she finds common ground and expresses a relatable emotion. It makes the interaction feel a bit warmer, more human.
So even small talk isn't always completely superficial.
Not necessarily. It can have these little flashes of genuine feeling. It's still primarily about the social ritual, but those personal touches make it more meaningful.
And the way they end it is also quite specific.
Yeah.
Lucy says, oh, sorry, Jessica, but I have to go now.
That, oh, sorry, is key, isn't it?
Yeah. Why the apology? She hasn't done anything wrong.
It's not really an apology for wrongdoing. It's what linguists sometimes call a softener. It makes the act of leaving, which could be seen as slightly abrupt, feel less harsh. It signals regret at having to end the pleasant interaction.
Okay. Sorry to cut this short. Precisely. And then you get the sequence. Okay, see you goodbye, and bye, Jess.
Different levels of formality there. Goodbye is more formal than see you, maybe, and bye, Jess uses the nickname.
Exactly. See you often implies you expect to see them again relatively soon. Goodbye is more general, could be longer term. And yeah, using the nickname Jess shows familiarity and reinforces their friendly connection.
And it finishes with, you're welcome. A response to what, exactly? Lucy didn't explicitly say thank you.
No, but the whole pleasant interaction implies a sort of mutual thanks for the chat or nice seeing you. So you're welcome is the standard polite way to acknowledge the end of that positive exchange.
Wow. Okay, so even in literally just a few lines of dialogue, there's a whole load of social navigation going on.
Absolutely. Initiating contact, maintaining flow, showing engagement, adding personal touches, and then politely disengaging. It's all packed in there. It really sets the stage for understanding how these seemingly simple conversations work.
Right. Let's move to the next scenario, asking for help. Laura and Jack and the dreaded broken laptop.
Ah, yes, a modern classic. This one starts more informally. Hey, Laura, what's up?
What's up? Very common, very casual. What are the typical ways you even respond to what's up?
Oh, lots of ways. You could say not much or nothing or just working or, actually say what is up if something interesting is happening. Or, like Laura does here, you can pivot straight to your reason for initiating contact.
Which she does. Hi, Jack, are you busy now? Very direct.
And Jack's reply, no, what's wrong, is perfect. It's concise, shows he's available, and invites her to state the problem. No messing about.
And the problem is stated clearly. My laptop suddenly stopped working. The black screen of death, we've all been there.
Haven't we just? And Jack's first suggestion.
Have you tried to restart it? Of course. The universal first step.
It's almost a reflex, isn't it? For any tech problem, it shows a logical troubleshooting process starting.
Then Jack says something interesting. I'm not sure I can fix it, but let me see. Why add the disclaimer?
It's about managing expectations, I think. He wants to help, he's willing to try, but he's also being honest about his potential limitations. It prevents Laura from assuming he's like a guaranteed miracle worker.
So it actually builds trust, in a way, by being upfront.
I think so, yeah. It feels more genuine than just saying, sure, I can fix anything. He's offering help within realistic bounds. Then he invites her in, come and here you are, showing readiness to look at it.
Laura then gives a bit more detail. It happened multiple times, won't turn on, giving him more data.
Right. Crucial info for diagnosis. And then the practicalities kick in. Jack has to go out, so Laura leaves the laptop with him.
And again, the polite closing. Thanks a lot, Jack. You're welcome. That gratitude acknowledgement cycle.
It's constant, isn't it? Politeness markers woven throughout. This whole exchange is a great example of practical problem solving mixed with friendly, informal interaction. Focused, but still maintaining that social connection.
Yeah, it feels very natural. Okay, what's next? Preferences and interests. Kate and Max talking about movies, specifically superheroes.
Right. This starts with a simple observation and question. What are you watching?
A very low-stakes conversation starter. Easy to ask, easy to answer.
Totally. Max says, I'm watching Iron Man. And then Kate slightly mishears.
Yeah, hero movies instead of superheroes. I love little moments like that in transcripts. They feel so real. People mishear things all the time.
They do. And it's usually corrected easily, just like here. Max clarifies superheroes and then expresses his general liking for the genre. It shows that communication isn't always perfect, but we have ways to, repair it quickly.
Then Kate asks the classic comparison question. Do you prefer Superman or Iron Man? Good way to get someone talking about their tastes.
Definitely. And Max gives a really specific reason for liking Iron Man.
Because he is a normal human like us and he can fly. It's an interesting justification. The relatability combined with the fantasy element.
Yeah, it tells you something about what he values in a character, the connection to humanity maybe, even with the superpower. It's not just about raw power like Superman often represents.
And Kate's reaction, I wish I could fly like them. A very common sort of fantasy wish.
Which leads Max to make a logical leap, maybe slightly off.
He assumes she loves being on planes, so you love being on the plane, right?
Yeah, he connects flying with planes.
Yeah.
It shows how we try to relate concepts, even if the link isn't quite what the other person meant.
And Kate clarifies it's about seeing the clouds from above, a more visual, perhaps romantic idea of flying.
Exactly. So the conversation explores preferences, justifications, related concepts, and even clarifies misunderstandings along the way. All sparked by a simple, what are you watching?
And it ends casually with Max needing to head off. A nice little snapshot of how we talk about things we like.
A very typical, lighthearted exchange about personal interests.
Okay, next up, asking for repetition and clarification. This is super practical.
Yeah.
Jennifer needs John's phone number.
Right, and the reason given is very relatable. I deleted his phone number by accident. Oops. Happens all the time.
So she needs someone else, presumably a mutual friend or colleague, to give it to her. And the process of getting the number is quite detailed.
It has to be, doesn't it? When you're exchanging numbers verbally, John starts reading it out.
And Jennifer immediately says, wait, can you repeat that? Essential phrase.
Crucial. Because it's so easy to mishear digits spoken aloud, unlike seeing them written down. You need that confirmation loop.
And they go through it. With John repeating and Jennifer even confirming a specific chunk, 0773, right?
Yes. That double-checking is vital for accuracy. It's a key strategy for what we call conversational repair, making absolutely sure the information has been transmitted correctly. Prevents problems later.
Then Jennifer explains why she needs the number. I want to ask him where he bought his bag because I want to buy it for my boyfriend.
Adding that context makes the request feel less abrupt or demanding, doesn't it? It gives a reason, makes it more understandable.
Yeah, it's not just, give me the number. There's a purpose. And it leads to a little compliment about the bag looking cool.
And Jennifer says she'll call him right away. The ending is polite again. Thanks, Jennifer. Not at all. Standard pleasantries.
So this one really highlights the mechanics of getting precise information verbally, the need for repetition, confirmation, and providing context.
Absolutely. Very clear, very efficient communication for a specific task.
Okay, moving on to social events. Making plans, invitations, Claire's throwing a birthday party.
Nice. This starts very directly. Are you free this Saturday night?
Yeah.
Followed immediately by, would you like to come to my party this weekend?
Gets straight to the point, checks availability, then extends the invitation.
Very efficient. And when her friend asks about the occasion, Claire reveals it's her birthday.
The response is immediate and enthusiastic. Oh, really? Sure, I will come, thank you. That sounds genuinely pleased.
It does. It shows positive social engagement. Then Claire provides the essential details.
Right, location. My house. With the address promised later via text, very common now, and the time. Around 7 p.m.
Around 7 p.m. is also quite natural. It implies a bit of flexibility, not a strict starting time, which is typical for many house parties.
And crucially, the dress code, or lack thereof. No, just wear whatever you feel comfortable with.
That's such a considerate detail. It removes a potential source of stress for guests. Wondering what to wear can be a barrier for some people. This signals a relaxed, welcoming vibe.
Definitely. It makes it easier to say yes. And the closing.
Again, gratitude. Thanks for asking me. And Claire's response, not at all, then see you at the party this Saturday. It confirms the plan.
So this conversation covers all the bases for a casual party invite. The what, why, when, where, what to wear, and the confirmation textbook, but natural.
Exactly. Clear, friendly, and provides all the necessary info.
Next scenario. Oh, this one's relatable for anyone who's been a teenager. The prom dress crisis. Kelly and her friend.
Ah, yes. I don't have anything to wear at prom. The classic cry.
Yeah. And her friend immediately jumps in with, me too. Shared problem, instant bonding.
Misery loves company, right? Kelly then takes the lead, suggesting a solution. Let's go to the shopping mall tonight. Proactive.
The friend's response, great. May I join? This interesting phrasing. Slightly more formal than maybe, can I come too?
It is, slightly. May I join?
Mm-hmm.
Has a touch more politeness, perhaps reflecting the slight desperation of the importance of the task. But can I join or can I come would also be perfectly natural here.
They agree and then immediately get into logistics. What time? How do we get there?
Yeah, the practicalities. Considering borrowing a car, but having the bus as a backup plan. Sensible planning.
And the friend mentions not wanting to go alone. That highlights the social aspect, right? Shopping for something important is often better with support.
Definitely. Especially for a big event like prom. You want that second opinion, that moral support. The final agreement to confirm transport later shows they're organized.
This little chat really shows the mix of, like, emotional drama, nothing to wear, and practical problem solving that happens between friends.
And the collaborative nature of getting ready for big social events.
Okay, shifting gears. Catching up after a while, talking about work. Emily and Kathy.
That starts with acknowledging the time gap. Hi, Emily. Long time no see.
A very standard phrase for reunions. And the reply, nice to see you again, Kathy. How are you? Sets that friendly, warm tone.
Then, naturally, the conversation turns to major life updates. Work is a big one for adults. Kathy asks, how is your new job going?
Emily's answer is positive, but realistic. It's good, but I'm a bit busy. A common way to describe a new role.
And the follow-up about colleagues. How are your new colleagues? That's another standard question. The work environment is key.
Emily says they're friendly and nice, which is great. Kathy acknowledges this, and Emily expresses overall happiness with the job.
Then the focus flips. Emily congratulates Kathy on her promotion. Congratulations, Kathy, you deserve it.
Nice, showing reciprocal interest in celebrating success.
Exactly, it's supportive. This whole exchange is typical catch-up conversation, general well-being, then diving into significant life areas like careers, sharing updates, and offering congratulations. Mutual interest.
A very positive and encouraging interaction.
Keeps the connection alive.
Next, another brief encounter. Josh and David. Maybe during a lunch break.
Seems like it. It starts with that moment of recognition. Hi, is it you, Josh? Ah, David, long time no see. Again, acknowledging the time lapse.
The nice to see you exchange. Then David asks, can I sit here? Which implies a shared space, like a cafeteria or break room.
Yeah, and the conversation quickly establishes it's lunchtime. They figure out why David is there a client meeting nearby, just filling in the context of the unexpected meeting.
Which leads naturally to the classic lunchtime question. Do you have any recommendations for the food?
Happens all the time in workplace cafes or new areas.
Yeah.
David suggests the grilled chicken. Simple, helpful local knowledge.
Josh accepts. Okay, I will try it. Thanks for your suggestion. Polite and appreciative.
And that's it. Short, pleasant, involves a bit of information exchange and a helpful recommendation. Very common type of brief workplace or public space interaction.
Okay, now for something a bit more serious. Family and health concerns. A doctor and a patient talking about sleep problems.
Right, the setting shifts to more formal professional communication here. The doctor starts with a standard opening. What's the matter with you?
Direct but expected in this context. The patient states the problem clearly. I cannot fall asleep easily.
The doctor then goes into information gathering mode. How long has this been happening? Do you have children? How old are they? Where do they sleep?
This line of questioning seems very targeted, trying to find external factors.
Exactly. Ruling out or identifying potential environmental or lifestyle contributors to the sleep issue. It's a diagnostic process.
And the key piece of information emerges. The patient sleeps with one child. The younger one is in a crib nearby.
Bingo. That immediately suggests a likely source of sleep disruption. So the doctor's advice is very direct. And based on that finding, you should try to sleep alone in another room.
Practical, logical advice based on the info gathered.
And the patient agrees to try it for a week. The conversation is focused, professional, identifies a likely cause, and proposes a concrete, actionable solution.
A very different feel from the casual chats, obviously. Purpose-driven.
Absolutely. Goal is diagnosis and treatment recommendation. Clear roles, clear objective.
Okay, next scenario. Oh, the frantic search for the lost phone, John and his flatmate. Universal experience.
Totally universal. Starts with that slightly panicked question, did you see my mobile phone?
The flatmate initially doesn't know, but suggests a recent location. Maybe he left it at the office, trying to jog his memory.
John starts retracing his steps mentally coming home, changing clothes. Flatmate actively helps, suggesting places. How about in the bathroom or your bedroom? Collaborative searching.
And then the flatmate hits on the most common culprit.
How about in your clothes? Maybe you put it in your pocket. The classic.
It's almost always in the pocket, isn't it? Or down the side of the sofa.
Often, yes. And sure enough, yes, it must be my trousers pocket. The relief.
Palpable relief. And heartfelt thanks to the flatmate. It shows that simple, cooperative problem-solving that happens in shared living spaces.
Yeah, helping each other out with those minor everyday crises. The flatmate didn't just say, I don't know, they actively brainstormed locations. That's supportive.
True. Okay, shifting to another common situation. Asking for directions in a store.
Starts with the standard politeness ritual. Customer, employee, hi, may I help you?
Very standard opening for any retail or service interaction. Sets a polite tone.
Then the customer states their need clearly and politely. Could you please tell me where the section for laundry stuff is? Using could you please makes it a polite request, not a demand.
And the employee gives clear directions using a landmark. It's over there opposite the bakery section. That's helpful. Landmarks make directions easier to follow.
Much easier than just saying aisle 7. The visual cue helps. And it ends, predictably, with thank you and you're welcome.
Brief, efficient, polite. Does the job perfectly.
Exactly. A model customer service interaction.
Next, we have Peter feeling unwell. Stomachache. Talking to his flatmate, Mary.
Mary notices something's wrong. What's wrong, Peter? He replies directly, I have a stomachache.
Mary's immediate reaction is concern. Oh no, does it hurt a lot? Shows empathy.
Peter confirms it does, and they start wondering about the cause, maybe something he ate. Mary then asks a key diagnostic question, if you suspect food poisoning.
Did you throw up? Yeah, that's standard question in that situation.
Helps narrow down the possibilities. But Mary doesn't just diagnose. She offers practical help. Do you want me to cook something light for you?
That's really nice. Shows care and support between flatmates. Peter is grateful.
And Mary's response is telling, we are flatmates, right? That's what I should do. It reinforces that sense of mutual responsibility and care in a shared home. She also offers more help if he gets worse.
A really positive example of looking out for each other.
Indeed. Now the mood shifts significantly, providing comfort after a breakup. Laura and her friend.
Yeah, this starts with a visual cue. Laura's swollen face. The friend gently asks, "What happened?"
Laura delivers the painful news. I broke up with my boyfriend.
The friend's immediate response is pure sympathy. "Oh, I'm so sorry for you, Laura." Standard, but essential in that moment. Then the inevitable question, "But why?"
Inviting her to share if she wants to, Laura reveals the reason. He cheated on me. Ouch.
The friend's reaction is strong validation and support. "Oh, girl, he doesn't deserve you."
That's such a common and important response from friends in this situation, isn't it? Taking their side, validating their hurt, condemning the other person's actions. It provides solidarity.
Absolutely. Makes them feel heard and justified in their feelings.
The conversation then moves towards coping. Another friend, Jessie, suggests Laura go out, relax, offers to go with her.
Right. Proactive support. Offering distraction, company, showing she's not alone.
It's a crucial step in helping someone through emotional pain. Shifting focus, offering presence. Very supportive.
Okay, next is a medical follow-up. The doctor checking on Jack's recovery.
Start with that direct check-in. How do you feel today? Jack reports improvement. Much better. Good sign.
The doctor then does specific checks. No fever. Asks about remaining symptoms like vomiting or pain. Standard procedure.
Jack is a nuanced answer about his stomach still feels like it's burning sometimes, though not constant pain. Important detail for the doctor. Shows recovery isn't total yet.
The doctor offers reassurance it takes time and manages expectations about discharge. Still needs a few more days in the hospital.
Providing clarity is important. And the advice? Relax, rest more. Standard recovery advice. Jack accepts. Typical doctor-patient follow-up. Assess progress, check specific symptoms, give prognosis and advice.
Professional, reassuring, informative.
Now back to shopping. Someone needs a plain white shirt for her husband.
Okay. Salesperson greets her politely. Customer states her need. "I'm looking for a shirt for my husband."
Salesperson immediately clarifies. Plain or pattern, getting specifics.
Customer wants plain white. Then provides key info for sizing. Husband's height and weight. Essential for clothes shopping.
Very practical. The salesperson indicates they have options and asks about priority. Do you have any special requirements?
Customer says, "Just give me the best you have." Okay, that signals she's likely prioritizing quality, maybe less price sensitive.
Could be, yeah. Or just wants the salesperson's expert recommendation for the top option. The salesperson then suggests a specific shirt, mentions the material, cotton, and suggests a size, L.
Customer agrees, asks if she needs anything else, practical add-on question, says no, and the transaction wraps up with thanks. Efficient, helpful retail interaction.
Very typical. Getting the customer's needs, providing relevant options and information.
Next, another shopping-related favor. John asking a friend going to the supermarket to pick up a few things.
This is super common. John checks if the friend is going out, then asks directly, "Could you help me buy something?"
Polite request. He lists the items. Sugar, chilies, ginger, then gives a reason. "I forgot to buy them." Justifies the request slightly.
Makes it feel less demanding. The friend confirms the list. Okay, sugar, chilies, and ginger. Anything else? Standard check.
John says no, but might call if he remembers something leaving the door open. The friend agrees, but adds a lighthearted warning. "Okay, but don't make me wait too long." A bit of friendly teasing.
Keeps it informal, ends with thanks and "you're welcome." Perfect example of asking for and granting a small, convenient favor between friends or flatmates. Relies on that mutual willingness to help out.
Totally. Happens all the time. Okay, now for a more stressful scenario. Lost luggage at the airport.
Oh dear. Passenger approaches staff. "My luggage didn't come out." States the problem and the wait time, signaling urgency.
Staff immediately asks for the essentials. Passport, flight number, standard procedure.
Passenger provides them. Then the baggage reclaim number comes up. Maybe there's a mismatch with the board. Highlights the importance of having that tag.
Absolutely crucial. The staff member then does something helpful. Offers to go physically check the reclaim area mentioned. Proactive.
Yeah, good service. Tells the passenger to come back if it's not there. Gives a clear next step. Ends with a thank you. This shows the initial steps in reporting lost luggage. Clear problem statement. Providing necessary documents. Staff taking initial action.
Hopefully it turned up. Okay, next, a quick safety reminder on a plane.
Flight attendant politely tells a passenger, "Excuse me, sir. Could you please keep your seatbelt fastened?"
Passenger apologizes, explains the misunderstanding. Thought takeoff was done. Common mistake.
Flight attendant clarifies the rule. Need to reach a certain altitude and stability first. Gives the reason behind the instruction.
Passenger understands, apologizes again, then asks the practical question. When can I unfasten my seatbelt then? seeking clear guidance.
Attendant tells him to listen for the captain's announcement. Clear instruction. Ends politely. Standard safety interaction, handled professionally.
Necessary communication on flights. Okay, now discussing travel plans. Julie's going to Canada.
Yeah, she confirms she's traveling for the summer holiday, visiting grandparents in Canada.
Friend asks how long, about 2 weeks. Friend's reaction, you're so lucky I will have to stay at home, expresses that common feeling of missing out.
Julia offers to stay in touch. I will call you and tell you interesting things. Nice gesture. Mentions she's been before briefly.
This conversation captures that excitement of upcoming travel versus staying home and the ways we try to bridge the distance through communication, sharing plans, managing expectations.
Shows those social dynamics around travel talk.
Next, a quick check on someone's whereabouts. Mom looking for Josh.
Mom sounds worried. Where are you, Josh? Where are you? He replies simply, at the gym.
Turns out Mom couldn't reach him. He was showering. His friend relays the message. Your mom called. She sounded worried. Call her back ASAP.
Josh agrees. This highlights friends acting as communication bridges, relaying messages and urgency when direct contact fails, passing on concern.
Short but important family-friend communication link.
Exactly. Now, coordinating transport for a trip. Mary planning for an early class trip.
Mary identifies the problem. Trip leaves super early, before public transport runs. Proactive thinking.
She proposes a solution. Stay at a friend's place nearby the night before, then book a taxi together. Practical workaround.
And she invites another friend to join the plan. Makes it social, maybe cheaper.
The friend agrees, confirms the meeting place, even offers to come over the evening before. Shows collaborative planning and problem solving for group logistics, making it work together.
Smart planning. Okay, making a restaurant reservation. Michael Boston calling Jardine Restaurant.
Very straightforward. Caller states purpose. I'm calling from Jardine Restaurant. I want to make a table reservation for 2 people. Clear and direct.
Staff asks for the name, Michael Boston, confirms it, assures him the table is reserved, offers menu on arrival.
Super efficient. Covers the essentials. Who, how many, confirmation. Done. Standard service call.
Next, Bob discussing financial plans considering a loan.
Bob introduces the topic of project idea, then the hurdle. Not enough capital. Expenses are higher than expected.
So he's thinking about a loan. His friend asks practical questions. Is it too early to apply? How complicated is it? Seeking info on the process.
Bob plans to call the bank for details. Sensible next step. Friend offers support. I hope you can handle it soon. Expresses encouragement. Typical conversation about financial challenges and exploring solutions with a friend.
Sharing worries, getting support.
Now, a trickier one. Friend conflict. Someone fell out with Selena.
Starts with an observation. They aren't sitting together. Friend asks, did you guys have an argument? The reply is strong, I'm done with her. Indicates a serious issue.
When asked why, she says it's a long story, then reveals the core issue. A boy. Feeling betrayed, thinking Selena tried to steal him, led to an argument.
The friend listening offers a different perspective. Maybe you didn't listen to her side. Gentle challenge, suggesting miscommunication.
Which makes the first friend pause and reconsider. She agrees to talk to Selena again, acknowledging maybe she didn't hear everything. Friend encourages open communication, shows how a neutral friend can mediate, offer perspective, and push towards resolution.
Important role friends can play, highlighting communication breakdown and the path to fixing it.
Exactly. Now, planning for Black Friday shopping. Kate and Lucy.
High energy here. Lucy asks Kate if she's free after school, proposes hitting the mall for Black Friday deals.
Kate's enthusiastic, agrees. They set a meeting, place and time, front of the mall, 5 p.m. They meet up, immediately strategize which mall has the best deals.
They encounter the crowds, comment on how many people are out bargain hunting. Very typical Black Friday scene.
They browse clothes. Lucy finds a dress. Kate approves, asks about the price. Social shopping, getting opinions, considering cost, captures that chaotic, shared experience of sale shopping.
Fun, energetic exchange. Okay, suggesting entertainment, TV, game shows.
Someone's bored, wants something to watch. Friend suggests game shows.
They mention Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? The big prize money, the brain training aspect.
Then describe another one, a music clip sync show. More performance, maybe comedy-based. Friend promises to text the name later. Simple recommendation sharing for leisure time. Finding common entertainment interests.
Casual chat about what to watch. Now the age-old problem. What's for dinner when the fridge is bare?
Starts with, is there anything to eat? Leads to the sad realization. Fridge is almost empty. Common household moment. Too hot to go shopping.
But wait, there are instant noodles. Salvation. And some eggs and salad stuff too. Okay, dinner plan. Instant noodles.
Initial empty becomes almost empty. Slight correction for accuracy, even in casual chat. Plan made to shop tomorrow. Perfectly captures that everyday scramble for a meal with limited supplies.
Very relatable. Next, dealing with a restaurant wait. Jerry at Dolores Restaurant.
Jerry arrives, no reservation. Hostess informs him they're fully booked. He asks about waiting.
Hostess estimates 25 minutes. Jerry agrees to wait, gives his name for the list.
Directed to the waiting area, offered drinks while waiting. Standard procedure for busy restaurants handling walk-ins. Managing customer flow and expectations.
Patient waiting game. Okay, getting lost while driving. Thomas and companion looking for a campsite.
They realize the map says they should be there, but they aren't. Uh-oh. Wrong turn suspected. Maybe the car's locator is off.
Time for backup. Smartphone map confirms they need to backtrack, take a different road. Classic navigation error and correction using tech. Problem solving on the road.
Happens to the best of us. Relying on technology to get back on track.
Next, a simple shop purchase. Eggs and bread.
Customer asks for a dozen eggs and a loaf of bread. Shopkeeper confirms availability, then upsells slightly. Do you need margarine or butter?
Customer adds margarine, asks for the total, pays. Polite farewells, absolutely routine retail transaction. Quick, efficient, polite.
The bread and butter of daily commerce.
Literally. Okay, deciding what to do after exams. Relaxing time.
Exams are over. Time to de-stress. Suggestion, find somewhere peaceful. Friend remembers a specific spot. A nice hill with a lake nearby. Sounds idyllic.
Description emphasizes tranquility, natural beauty. Appeals to both. Decision made. Plan transport, bring food. Shows that post-stress desire for calm, using shared positive memories to choose an activity, and practical planning.
Collaborative leisure planning. Nice. Next, meeting a new neighbor. Thomas introduces himself to Oliver.
Thomas initiates, "Hi, I'm Thomas, your neighbor." Explains he just wanted to say hello and invites Oliver to a neighborhood barbecue. Very friendly, community-building gesture.
Oliver responds positively. Asks the reason for the BBQ. Thomas explains. Just casual get to know each other. Oliver accepts, thanks him. Polite closing. Great example of proactively building neighborly connections.
Welcoming approach. Now, a surprising connection revealed. Lily introducing a friend to Jake.
During the intro, it pops up. Jake knows Lily's cousin, Laura. Small world moment.
They explore the connection, knew each other from high school, same swimming club, adding detail to the coincidence. Fun example of how social circles can unexpectedly overlap.
Those 6 degrees of separation moments.
Next, making someone feel welcome, Anna welcoming Kate to her new house.
Anna uses the classic welcoming phrase, make yourself at home, instantly puts Kate at ease.
They chat about the house Anna's still decorating. Kate compliments the cozy feel. Anna offers a tour. Short, warm exchange, emphasizing hospitality, creating a comfortable space for guests.
Simple but important social skill. Now reconnecting after years. Jeremy and Ben bump into each other.
Surprise reunion. Took a moment to recognize each other after years. Primary school. Natural changes over time.
They catch up briefly. Ben moved away, Chicago, back visiting Grandma. And by planning to stay in touch. Touching example of rekindling old friendships found by chance. Desire to maintain connections. Those unexpected blasts from the past. Next, forgetting something. The makeup bag. Quick moment. Oh no, I forgot my makeup bag. Immediate need to go back before leaving. Relatable moment of forgetfulness.
Friend waits patiently. She returns. Confirms she has it now. They proceed. Highlights those minor, everyday delays caused by simple absent-mindedness.
Happens all the time. Now, expressing gratitude and offering something in return. Brian thanking someone for help. Brian expresses deep thanks for help with an assignment, couldn't have met the deadline without it. Offers to buy a drink as a thank you gesture.
Offer accepted. They discuss drink preference, where to go. Typical social ritual. Acknowledging help, offering a token of appreciation, strengthening the social bond.
Common and positive interaction. Next, discussing a restaurant's vibe and food. Talking about a restaurant. Comments on the cozy atmosphere. Nice Christmas decorations. Positive first impression.
One person says it's their favorite, recommends the food, very nice dishes, offers to let the other choose since they know the menu well, sharing opinions, recommendations, influencing choices, building a shared positive experience.
Social aspect of dining. Now, an invitation to dance at the prom. Sarah inviting someone hesitant.
Sarah's enjoying the prom, invites someone to dance. Person admits they aren't a good dancer. Sarah's encouraging. Don't worry, offers to guide them.
Her positive attitude, the inclusive vibe, makes the person willing to try despite hesitation. Seat, supportive interaction. encouraging participation, overcoming insecurity.
Lovely moment. Next, offering a ride home. James offering Lisa a lift from university.
James offers a ride, heading her way anyway. Convenient kindness. Lisa accepts gratefully. Brief chat about her heavy bag, library books.
James compliments her hard work. Diligent. Lisa clarifies. Busy pre-exam time. Ends with thanks. Simple, considerate act between acquaintances. Everyday helpfulness.
Just looking out for each other. Now, household appliance trouble. Anna's coaster isn't working.
Anna's trying to fix it, explains the problem to Alex. He offers to look, confirms it seems broken.
Anna's in a hurry. Alex offers a practical alternative. His instant noodles for breakfast, even offers to cook them. Quick problem-solving, helpful workaround.
Anna's grateful. Demonstrates mutual support with minor household issues, finding quick solutions.
Resourceful flatmates. Next, finding a lost phone using another phone. Susan asking Oliver for his number.
Susan dropped her phone, asks to borrow Oliver's to call hers, hoping to hear it ring. Clever use of tech. Oliver agrees, also offers to help search physically.
Oliver inputs his number so Susan can call hers. They listen. Follow the ring. Find it in the sofa. Success.
They exchange thanks. Then, realizing the utility, they save each other's numbers. Potential friendship sparked by a lost phone and helpfulness. Practical problem-solving leading to social connection.
Smart thinking. Now, a shift to a more structured format. Jaden's interview for the school website. Jessica's involved somehow, maybe conducting it.
Seems likely. Jaden introduces himself formally. Name, age, birth year. Explains why his family moved. Good school nearby. Feels supported by staff. Appreciates his favorite teacher.
He mentions being invited to the teacher's Christmas party, a nice personal touch. Shares exciting news. Won first prize in a competition. Hasn't told the teacher yet.
Asked about study methods, gets helpful books, weekly tests, shares a creative technique, writing songs to memorize things, also plays piano. Interesting detail.
Shows personality. Describes parents' reaction to the win. Reserved, didn't want him getting overconfident, but planning a celebratory dinner. Balanced parental approach.
Discusses future plans, university aspirations, material science or chemistry, dreams of Cambridge, acknowledges competitiveness, ends expressing gratitude for the interview, hopes for follow-up if he gets into Cambridge. This is clearly a formal, goal-oriented Q&A, information gathering.
Much more structured than the casual chats. Different communication style for different purpose.
Okay, now for a surprising, almost sitcom-like scenario. Winship and Lewis coming home to strangeness.
They arrive home, find doors and windows wide open. Initial thought? Robbery. Panic. But nothing seems missing. Weird.
Then they notice more odd details. Balcony flowers watered, living room chairs moved, dishes washed and put away. And there's the smell of baked chicken. What is going on?
Total confusion. Did they hire a cleaner? A caterer? No. They rule those out, getting perplexed, maybe a bit scared.
The mystery deepens until they spot a familiar suitcase in the garage. The reveal.
It's their daughter, home early from university for winter break. She did all the cleaning and cooking as a surprise welcome for them.
What a twist. From fear of burglary to heartwarming family surprise. Shows how assumptions based on unusual circumstances can be completely wrong. Lovely ending.
Great little story built through dialogue and observation. Now, meeting a new roommate. Marshall and Ted. University dorm life begins.
Marshall introduces himself. They figure out who gets which side of the room, exchange basics, majors, where they're from, standard first meeting stuff.
Then they get practical. Shared items, TV, mini fridge, who's bringing what. Room decor preferences need to coordinate, establishing the shared space.
Then rules and routines, chores, split based on class schedules. Seems fair. Guests socializing in the room. Extracurriculars. Study this is key. Music versus silence. Need compromise here.
Absolutely crucial for peaceful coexistence. They even touch on summer plans. This conversation covers a huge range of topics needed to set the foundation for a successful roommate relationship. Expectations, boundaries, compromise.
Laying the groundwork. Important conversation to have early.
Very. Now the flip side. Luke is complaining about his difficult roommate to his brother Mike.
Lucas vents. Roommate is slobby, disorganized, messy kitchen, messy bathroom. Noise issues, disrespects his schedule, also describes him as needy, attention-seeking. Sounds like a nightmare.
Paints a vivid picture of a challenging living situation. Mike listens, then offers advice. Set clear boundaries, communicate the issues directly. Standard but solid advice.
Lucas ends with a bit of hope. Maybe communication can help. Acknowledges problems often stem from misunderstandings, lack of communication, highlights the difficulty but also the potential solution path for roommate conflicts.
Often boils down to communication, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Or lack thereof.
It seems so. Next, someone seeking advice. share a dorm room, or live alone? Weighing the options.
Discussing the pros and cons. Pro roommate, support system, like if you're sick, new perspectives, social interaction built in.
Con roommate. Lack of privacy, different habits clashing, sleep schedules, tidiness, potential conflict.
The advice given. It circles back to communication again. If you do get a roommate, communicate openly. Set rules early. Be willing to compromise. Balanced, look at the decision, emphasizing self-awareness and communication skills needed for shared living.
Good advice regardless of the choice. Next, offering help when someone's sick. Emma has a bad stomachache.
Emma says her stomach hurts badly, looks pale. Friend asks if it's severe. She confirms yes. Friend's immediate reaction. We should go to the hospital. Offers to take her.
Emma accepts gratefully. Friend offers to drive since Emma's unwell. Very caring, supportive, practical response to a friend's health issue. Taking immediate action.
Exactly what you'd hope a friend would do. Now another brief meeting. New flatmates, Jake and Jessica.
Jake introduces himself. I'm Jake, your new flatmate. Polite greetings exchanged. Mention they're both students. Basic, necessary first interaction. Establishing contact.
Short and sweet. Next, the oh no we're out of food moment. Layla and her flatmate.
Layla's heading to the supermarket. Flatmate reminds her the fridge is empty. They quickly assess the minimal remaining items. Layla will go soon, despite the rain. Flatmate might join later for a bigger shop. Everyday household management, shared responsibility for groceries.
The ongoing saga of keeping the kitchen stocked. Now, making a doctor's appointment. Isabel Smith calling Dr. Mike's office.
Isabel calls, states her purpose, appointment with Dr. Mike, gives the reason, difficulty sleeping. Specifically requests a blood test, asks about availability, successfully books for the next day. Clear, efficient communication for scheduling medical care. Covers all necessary info.
Textbook appointment booking. Next, getting pulled over for speeding. Driver and police officer.
Officer signals driver over, states the reason. Speeding, gives the speed recorded. Driver apologizes, provides license and registration promptly.
Officer asks why she was speeding. Driver explains, daughter is unwell at home. Officer shows some sympathy but reiterates the need to follow speed limits. Issues a warning, lets her go. Common traffic stop scenario, showing interaction with authority, explanation, and outcome. Warning.
Stressful but handled relatively smoothly. Okay, clarifying spelling. Amy, and Laura.
Amy introduces herself. Laura mishears, asks for spelling clarification. Amy spells it. A-I-M-E-E. They exchange pleasantries about being new flatmates. Simple interaction highlighting the need for clarity with names to avoid confusion. Quick correction.
Important detail. No, panic. Tui lost her car keys.
Tui's distressed. I lost my keys. I'm late for work.
Friend suggests checking coat pockets. Nope. Friend advises. Calm down, breathe, retrace steps. Standard lost item advice.
Tui tries to recall her actions. Friend helps look. Eventually. Found. Inside the car. Huge relief. Friend reminds her to drive safely. She rushes off. Captures that frantic search. Mounting stress. Helpful friend. Eventual relief. Very common mini-drama. We've all been Tui at some point. Next. Differing fashion tastes. Sally and Kay meet while shopping.
They comment on each other's purchases. Kay notes Sally's dress is short. Sally describes Kay's outfit as more individual. Subtle hints of different styles.
They discuss their preferences. Sally follows trends more. Kay prefers a unique style. But the chat is friendly. Shows friends can have different tastes, express them mildly, without judgment affecting the friendship. Fashion as personal expression.
Agreeing to disagree, politely. Now, asking for help finding someone using a description. Looking for Miss Davis.
Ask who approaches someone. Are you Miss Davis? No. Ask her politely, requests help finding her, then provides a description. Physical appearance, clothing. Standard way to locate someone you don't know well in a public place when you can't just call their name. Practical information exchange.
Using visual cues. Next, surprise blind date setup. Bridget finds out about Joshua.
Friend tells Bridget she's being set up with coworker Joshua. Bridget, surprised, immediately asks for details, especially, what does he look like? Curiosity piqued.
Friend describes him. Handsome, friendly looking, bright smile, blue eyes, smooth skin, tall. Provides those key visual details people often want to know for a blind date. Typical pre-date information gathering. Focus on appearance is common here.
Managing expectations, maybe? Now trying to talk to a crush with an awkward twist. Andy, David, and the girl.
David advises Andy, create an accidental situation to start talking to the girl he likes. And he tries, by accidentally dropping coffee near her.
Right there.
Fails spectacularly. Girl unimpressed. Awkward.
Bad advice, badly executed. But, and plot twist. Later, the girl approaches Andy, asks for his SNS account, social media. Unexpected positive outcome despite the initial disaster. Suggests connection can happen even when plans go wrong. Maybe she found the awkwardness endearing. Or just noticed him anyway.
You never know. Sometimes failure leads to success. Okay, planning a group summer trip. Friends deciding where to go.
Friends want to travel together. Post-work busyness, brainstorming destinations, Miami Beach, Spain, London. Discussing the pros and cons, attractions, past experiences.
They weigh options, consider interests, reach a consensus. London. Excitement about sightseeing shows collaborative decision-making for group travel. Balancing different desires to reach a shared plan.
Democracy in action for vacation planning. Next, sharing favorite travel destinations. Comparing preferences.
Discussing favorite places. One person loves the idea of Thailand, culture, street food. The other shares experiences in Europe and Australia.
Highlights diverse travel interests. One drawn to specific cultural culinary experiences in Asia. The other has explored different continents more broadly. Sharing passions, maybe inspiring future trips for each other.
Broadening horizons through conversation. Now, honeymoon planning. Upcoming wedding leads to destination discussion.
Right to be initially wanted Paris. Romance. But fiancé prefers Asia, Korea, or Japan. New culture.
Yeah.
Seeking advice from a friend.
Friend recommends Korea based on own experience, culture, food. Shows couples navigating different preferences, compromising for a major trip, seeking external input to help decide.
Balancing romance and new experiences. Next, seeking advice about Japan from someone who's been.
Person planning a Japan trip asks for tips experiences. Conversation covers key attractions. Cherry blossoms, Tokyo Tower, Mount Fuji. Activities, photos in kimono. Food, sushi, shabu-shabu. Practical advice and sharing positive experiences for trip planning. Drawing on first-hand knowledge.
Getting the inside scoop before you go. Very useful. Now, a spontaneous weekend beach trip. Annie and Kim.
Last-minute decision. Atlantic City beach weekend. Discussing activities, surfing, swimming, watching sunset, seafood dinner. Coordinating supplies, who brings what. Leaving early next morning. Captures the fun and logistics of impromptu getaways. Excitement and quick planning.
Seizing the weekend. Finally, prom dress shopping plans. Emma, Kelsey, Giselle.
The realization myths. Need prom dresses. Decision. Go shopping together this weekend. Suggesting malls. King of Prussia. Setting time, place to meet. Social aspect of preparing for big events. Friends supporting each other. Making it a group activity. Tackling the task together.
A shared quest for the perfect dress. So, as we've really unpacked here, this single transcript offers this incredible panorama of everyday English. It's just vast.
It really is. We've gone from those, super simple good morning exchanges all the way through navigating complex things like disagreements or offering comfort after a breakup, handling work situations, planning trips. The whole spectrum.
And in every single one, you see native speakers using specific phrases, yes, but more importantly, maintaining that flow, that natural rhythm, asking follow-up questions, using softeners, managing expectations, expressing gratitude. All these little gears turning.
It's way more than just vocabulary lists, isn't it? It's about understanding the social mechanics behind the language, why people say things the way they do in certain contexts.
Exactly. And that's why listening to and analyzing authentic conversations like these is so incredibly valuable if you're learning English. You start to internalize not just the what, but the how and the why.
You pick up on the nuances, the tone, the appropriate level of formality or informality for different situations. Things that are really hard to get just from a textbook.
Right. And hopefully, by walking through these examples today, you, our listeners, have gained some, deeper insights into how these interactions work and maybe feel a bit more confident in navigating similar situations yourselves.
We certainly covered a lot of ground. It just shows how much richness there is, even in seemingly ordinary conversations.
There truly is. It's all about those subtle cues and shared understandings that make communication work smoothly. Today, we're really digging into something super important for English learners, especially if you're coming from a Portuguese-speaking background.
That's right. We're talking about those pronunciation hurdles, the common mistakes.
Exactly. And not just pronunciation, but also listening, really active listening.
And understanding how native speakers actually talk with all the contractions and, the speed.
It can sound incredibly fast sometimes, can't it? So we'll be looking at that too. Why does fast English sound so fast?
It's often more about rhythm and sounds changing than just speed itself.
Okay, so lots to cover. It's more than just grammar rules and vocabulary lists, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Getting the pronunciation right, being able to follow a conversation, that's where confidence really builds.
It's where the rubber meets the road, so to speak.
Exactly. And often where learners hit a plateau or feel a bit stuck.
Right. So our goal today, our mission, if you like, is to really help you, our listener, understand these specific challenges.
We want to give you practical stuff, things you can actually use.
Concrete tips and insights to help you identify maybe where you're struggling and, more importantly, how to work on it.
Think of it as a toolkit for clearer speaking and better understanding.
Definitely. And to build this toolkit, we've got some great resources lined up.
We do. We're drawing from a CNN Brazil article that looks specifically at common errors for Brazilian learners.
Which is super relevant for many of our listeners.
Then there's a piece from Instituto World Opportunity about active listening, why it's so crucial.
Can't wait to get into that one.
We've also got Open English helping us understand contractions, the when, why, and how.
Contractions.
Yeah.
Always a fun topic.
And finally, we're tackling fast speech, drawing on some excellent YouTube resources.
Yeah, videos from The English Coach, Lingua Marina, and Small Advantages. They have some great practical examples.
They really break it down well.
Okay, brilliant. So let's start where the CNN Brazil article begins those common pronunciation points. First up, the ED ending on past tense verbs. This seems simple, but it trips people up.
It really does. The article highlights a key issue. Many Brazilian learners tend to pronounce that ed as a whole extra syllable.
Right, like saying work ed or played.
Exactly. But most of the time, that's not how it works in English. Usually the ed just adds a sound, not a syllable.
So what sound does it add? Is it always the same?
Good question. No, it depends on the last sound of the base verb. If the verb ends in a voiceless sound like K, P, S, T, F, think, walk, stop, miss, wash, watch, the ed adds a T sound.
Okay, so walked sounds like dead.
Precisely. Not deaded, just one syllable, ending in T.
Got it. And if the verb ends in a voiced sound, like vowels or sounds like BG, VZ, DL, M, and R,
then the ed adds a D sound. Again, usually no extra syllable. So play ends in a vowel sound, which is voiced.
so played becomes plid.
Exactly. Pled, one syllable. Or love, ending in V, becomes loved, LVD. Clean becomes cleaned, cleansed.
That makes sense. So it's either a T sound or a D sound tacked onto the end unless.
Unless, and this is a crucial exception the article points out.
Okay, what's the exception?
If the base verb already ends in a T or a D sound, then the ed ending forms a separate syllable, and it's pronounced as ed or sometimes bade.
Okay, so words like want or need.
Perfect examples. Want ends in D, so wanted becomes bind, 2 syllables.
Right, you can hear that extra ed sound.
And need ends in D, so need is manned. Again, 2 syllables.
So the trick is really listening for that final sound of the main verb before you add the ending.
That's the key takeaway. Train your ear, does it end in T or D? If yes, add to'd. If no, add T or D depending on voicing, and keep it 1 syllable shorter.
It requires some conscious attention, especially at first.
Definitely. It's breaking a habit learned from Portuguese phonology and building a new one based on English rules. Practice reading past tense verbs aloud. Maybe record yourself.
Good tip. Okay, let's move to another classic challenge, the TH sounds.
Ah, yes, the infamous TH. The CNN Brazil article hits the nail on the head. This sound just isn't in Portuguese.
Which means learners have to find a substitute, right?
Exactly. And the common substitutes are sounds that are familiar, typically SU for sometimes D or T.
So think might come out as sink or fink,
Or zinc. And this might sound like dis or ziz.
which can obviously lead to confusion.
It certainly can. There are 2 TH sounds, actually. The voiceless one, like in think 3, path.
Okay, voiceless, the, like the,
Right. And the voice one, like in this, that, mother, breathe.
which is S.
Correct. The mouth position is basically the same for both, but the voiced one involves vibrating your vocal cords.
And what is that mouth position? The article mentions tongue between the teeth.
Yes, that's the core of it. You gently place the very tip of your tongue just between your upper and lower front teeth. Don't bite down hard.
Just resting there lightly.
Exactly. And then you blow air out. For the voiceless in think, it's just air.
Like a soft hiss almost, through the gap.
Sort of, yeah. Think. For the voice A in this, you do the same thing, but you engage your voice. You hum slightly as the air goes out.
Hey, this. Okay, I can feel the vibration.
That's it. It feels unnatural at first because, again, Portuguese doesn't use the tongue tip between the teeth like this.
So practice is key. The article mentioned practicing words like think and this.
Definitely. Minimal pairs are fantastic here. Practice saying thing versus fine versus sin, or then versus den versus zen. Really focus on that tongue position and airflow.
Maybe looking in a mirror could help. To see the tongue placement?
Absolutely. Visual feedback can be really useful for mastering new articulations. Don't be afraid to exaggerate the movement slightly when you're practicing alone.
It's about building that muscle memory, isn't it?
Precisely. Making a new physical movement feel natural takes repetition.
Okay, moving on. Another point from CNN Brazil. Final consonants and the tendency to add vowels. This feels related to Portuguese sentence structure.
It is very much related. Portuguese syllables often end in vowels, and final consonants can sometimes be softened or almost disappear. English, however, relies heavily on clearly pronounced final consonants.
They carry a lot of meaning.
They really do. Think about life versus live or back versus bag. That final sound is critical.
So the issue is that Portuguese speakers might soften or drop those final sounds, like saying book without a clear K at the end.
Exactly. The T might be very weak or omitted. Or the other common pattern mentioned is adding an extra vowel sound after the final consonant.
Ah, yes. The Buki example for book.
Right. Or friend becoming something like friendites. Inserting a vowel, often a little E or sound, because ending on a bare consonant feels unnatural compared to Portuguese patterns.
So how do you combat that? It seems like a deeply ingrained habit.
It does take conscious effort. The advice is to really focus on ending the word with the consonant sound and nothing else. Hold that final K in book, the final T in cat, the final P in stop.
Feel the airflow stop or the sound complete right there.
Yes, again, recording yourself is invaluable. Listen back specifically for those word endings. Are you dropping the consonant? Are you adding a vowel?
And then consciously correct it in practice.
Practice reading lists of words ending in different consonants. Stop, job, back, bag, miss, fuzz, rich, bridge, faith, breathe, map, run, bell. Focus on that final crisp sound.
It seems like awareness is the first big step for all these points.
It really is. You can't fix something if you don't realize you're doing it.
Okay, next challenge. It's letter H. Seems simple, but...
But tricky for Portuguese speakers because the initial H in Portuguese is silent, like in hora or huj.
Right, so the instinct might be to ignore it in English too.
That's one common error, yes. So house becomes house, or happy becomes happy.
And the other error mentioned was replacing it with an R.
Yes, sometimes learners might substitute an R sound, perhaps influenced by the Portuguese R sound in certain positions. So house could sound like rouse.
But in English, that initial H usually has a distinct sound, doesn't it?
It absolutely does in most words. It's an aspirated sound. Think of it like a little puff of air, a light exhalation before the vowel sound starts.
Like you're gently fogging up a mirror. How'd be at house.
That's a great analogy. Help, hat. It's voiceless, just airflow.
So you need to consciously add that puff of air at the start.
You do. Practice words starting with H. Hold your hand in front of your mouth. You should feel that puff of air on words like breathtaking, huge, breathtaking.
But the article did mention exceptions, like honest.
Yes, there are a few exceptions where the H is silent, often words borrowed from French, like honest, honor, hour, air.
But those are relatively few compared to the ones where H is pronounced.
Exactly. The general rule is pronounce the initial H with that puff of air.
Good to know. Final specific point from the CNN article. Short versus long vowels. This seems subtle but important.
Extremely important because it can completely change the meaning of a word in English. The duration of the vowel sound matters.
The article gave examples like ship and sheep.
Classic pair. The I sound in ship, thef, is short and lax. The E sound in ships is long and tense.
And full versus fool.
Same idea. The U sound in full L is short. The U sound in full fel is long.
And the difficulty arises because Portuguese doesn't really use vowel length to distinguish meaning in the same way.
That's right. Portuguese vowel sounds might vary slightly in length depending on context or stress, but it's not usually the primary thing that changes one word into a completely different one, like it does in English, with pairs like sit, set, and seat, sis, or pull, peel, and pool, pools.
So learners might pronounce ship and sheep almost identically.
They might, often using a vowel sound that's somewhere in between the English short and long sounds, or defaulting to whichever Portuguese vowel seems closest, without focusing on the length difference.
How can you practice this? It feels harder than just placing your tongue differently.
It involves training your ear as much as your mouth. The article advises focusing on the length of the sound, consciously holding the long vowels longer.
Like stretching it out slightly. Sheep. Fool.
Kind of, yes. But it's also about the quality of the sound, which often involves a slightly different mouth position, too. The long A's sheep is usually more tense, with the mouth wider than the short in ship.
Ah, okay. So it's length and mouth shape.
They often go together. Listening is crucial here. The article recommends listening carefully to native speakers in songs, movies, podcasts. Pay attention to how they pronounce pairs like live lev versus leave life stare, bit versus beat by zev.
And maybe try repeating them, mimicking the length and sound quality.
Exactly. Shadowing, which we'll talk more about with active listening, is great for this. Mimic native speakers saying minimal pair words or sentences containing them.
Okay, that covers the specific sounds. But the CNN Brazil article also offered some general advice, didn't it? Kind of wrap-up points.
It did, and they're really important mindset points. Firstly, pronunciation improvement is gradual. It takes time and consistent effort. Don't expect overnight miracles.
Be patient with yourself.
Absolutely. Secondly, practice is vital. Consistent, focused practice on the sounds you find difficult.
Makes sense.
Thirdly, don't fear mistakes. They are part of learning. Every time you try, even if it's not perfect, you're building towards better pronunciation.
Embrace the process.
Fourth, listen frequently and actively. We'll dive deeper into this, but exposing yourself constantly to authentic English is key.
Okay.
Fifth, record yourself and compare. Hearing your own voice compared to a native speaker is one of the best ways to identify areas you need to work on.
A bit like we discussed for final consonants and ED endings.
Exactly. And finally, remember that having an accent is perfectly okay. The goal isn't necessarily to sound exactly like a native speaker from London or New York. The goal is clear, comprehensible pronunciation so people can understand you easily.
That's a really crucial distinction. Clarity over eliminating the accent entirely.
Precisely. Focus on mastering the sounds that most impact intelligibility, like the ones we've discussed.
Fantastic overview of the pronunciation side. Now let's pivot to that skill you mentioned, active listening. The Instituto World Opportunity article really emphasizes its importance. What exactly is active listening in this context?
Well, the article defines it really well. It's not just letting sound wash over you, which would be passive listening.
Like having the TV on in the background.
Yeah, exactly. Active listening is listening with intention and attention. It's making a conscious effort to understand not just the words, but the meaning, the context, the tone, maybe even the speaker's feelings or intentions.
So it's a much more engaged process.
Totally engaged. For language learners, it's fundamental. It's how you truly absorb the sounds, rhythm, intonation, and vocabulary of the language as it's actually used.
Why is it so important for learning English specifically? What benefits does the article highlight?
It outlines several huge benefits. First, improved auditory comprehension, obviously. Active listening helps you tune into different accents, understand idioms, catch nuances. You just get better at understanding spoken English in all its variety.
Which is essential for real-world communication.
Absolutely. Second, it directly enhances your own pronunciation. By listening closely to how native speakers form sounds, the rhythm they use, the intonation patterns, you start to internalize it.
So listening better helps you speak better.
Definitely. You get a clearer model to imitate. Third, vocabulary expansion. Hearing words used in context is one of the best ways to learn and remember them, much better than just memorizing lists.
You understand how the word actually fits into a sentence?
Precisely. And fourth, the article mentions a connection with culture. Language is deeply tied to culture. Active listening helps you pick up on cultural references, humor, politeness strategies, things that go beyond the dictionary definition of words.
It gives you a richer understanding of the communication style.
Oh, exactly. It helps you understand the how and why behind what's being said.
Those are compelling benefits. So how do you do active listening? The article suggested practical techniques, right?
Yes, it offered some really actionable strategies. One is shadowing.
We mentioned that briefly for vowels. How does it work more generally?
You listen to a short piece of audio, maybe a sentence or two from a podcast or video, and you immediately try to repeat it exactly as you heard it. You mimic the pronunciation, the rhythm, the rises and falls in pitch.
Almost like being the speaker's echo.
Kind of, yes. It forces you to listen incredibly closely to all those details. It's challenging, but very effective.
So,
Another technique is focusing on identifying key words. When you're listening to something complex or fast, don't panic trying to catch every single word. Focus on the main content, words, nouns, verbs, adjectives to get the overall gist.
Like building a scaffold of understanding.
Exactly. You grasp the main points, and then maybe on a second listen you can fill in more details. Which leads to another technique, repetition.
Just listening again and again.
Yes, especially with short audios. Listen multiple times. Each time, you'll likely catch something new, a word you missed, a nuance in pronunciation, how words link together.
That makes sense. Don't expect to get everything the first time.
Right. And finally, the article recommends using interactive resources. Things like podcasts designed for learners, videos with transcripts, apps that let you slow down the audio or loop sections. These tools can really support active listening practice.
So where can people find good material for this? Podcasts, YouTube?
All of the above. The Instituto World Opportunity article suggests podcasts on topics you find interesting, YouTube channels, both for learners and just native content. Audiobooks are fantastic.
Because you can often get the text, too.
Exactly. Films and series, maybe start with English subtitles, then try without. Even online conversation classes or language exchange partners give you real-time listening practice.
The key seems to be finding authentic material you actually enjoy listening to.
That's crucial for staying motivated. Find something that interests you and then apply these active listening techniques.
What about the long-term payoff? If someone commits to practicing active listening consistently, what changes can they expect, according to the article?
The long-term benefits are really significant. It accelerates your overall learning progress. You build much more confidence and understanding in speaking.
Less panic when someone speaks quickly.
Hopefully, yes. It helps you move away from constantly translating in your head, which is slow and tiring. You start to understand English more directly, more intuitively.
More like how you understand your native language.
Exactly. It brings you much closer to that feeling of fluency, where the language feels natural, rather than like a code you have to decipher word by word. Active listening is presented as a pathway to more natural, intuitive language use.
That's a powerful message. Okay, so we've covered pronunciation issues and the importance of listening. Let's shift gears to contractions, using the Open English article as our guide. First off, what exactly are contractions?
Basically, contractions are shortened versions of words or pairs of words. Letters are missed out, and an apostrophe usually marks where they've been removed.
Like it's for it is or don't for do not.
Precisely. The article draws a parallel with Portuguese using pra for para. It's a way of making speech more efficient.
And the article mentioned they're more common in English than Portuguese.
Significantly more common, yes. You hear and see them constantly in English in everyday conversation, in emails, even in relatively formal contexts sometimes. They are a really integral part of natural English.
Which brings up the question of formality. Are contractions considered informal? Should you avoid them in, say, professional writing?
That's a common question, and the Open English article gives a nuanced answer. Many standard contractions like don't, isn't, it's, wait, are perfectly acceptable in most standard English contexts.
Like news reports or business communication.
Yes, absolutely. You'll find them used widely. The main place they're traditionally avoided is very formal academic writing, theses, dissertations, research papers.
Okay, the really high-level academic stuff.
Right. Although even there, some common ones like don't are becoming more accepted depending on the style guide. But the article does caution against using the super informal contractions, the gonna, wanna, ain't kind of things in any formal context, written or spoken.
So standard ones are generally okay, except maybe in hardcore academic papers. Very informal ones are for casual use only.
That's a good summary. Context is everything.
Now, is using them optional? Can you just always say, I will instead of I'll, or they are instead of they're?
Mostly, yes, you can use the full form. Saying do not instead of don't is grammatically correct. However, the article makes a key point. Using contractions makes your English sound much more natural and fluent.
Because native speakers use them all the time.
Constantly. If you never use contractions, your speech can sound a bit robotic, maybe overly formal, or even like you're deliberately emphasizing each word.
Ah, so not using them can sometimes add emphasis, like, I will not tolerate this.
Exactly. Using the full form can definitely be used for emphasis, but in normal, flowing conversation, contractions are the default.
And you mentioned an exception earlier, where they aren't optional.
Ah, yes. Tag questions. Those little questions at the end of a statement like, it's a nice day, isn't it? Or, you live here, don't you?
Okay.
In tag questions, you must use the contracted form of the auxiliary verb and not if it's a negative tag. You can't say is not it or do not you. It has to be isn't it, don't you?
That's a clear rule then. Tag questions demand contractions.
They do. It's one specific grammatical structure where they're required.
Okay. The Open English article broke down the common contractions into categories. Can you walk us through the main types? There seem to be quite a few.
There are several patterns. A big one is verb plus not. We've mentioned some already. Aren't, are not, isn't, is not, wasn't, was not, weren't, were not.
Also, will not becomes won't. That one's a bit irregular.
Won't is unique. Then you have can't, cannot, couldn't, could not, shouldn't, should not, wouldn't, would not.
Mightn't, mustn't are those common.
Mightn't and mustn't exist, but they sound quite formal or perhaps more British English nowadays. People often prefer might not or must not or find other ways to phrase it.
Okay. And the do verbs.
Don't, do not, doesn't, does not, didn't, did not. And the have verbs haven't, have not, hasn't, has not, hadn't, had not. That covers most of the verb plus not type.
Got it. What's another main category?
Personal pronoun plus verb to be. These are super common. I am, you're, he's, he is, she's, she is, it's, it is, we are, they're, they are.
Essential for everyday speech. You need to be careful with your and your, it's and it's, there. Classic spelling traps.
Absolutely. The apostrophe makes all the difference in meaning.
What else? Pronoun plus have, has.
Yes. I have, you have, we have, they have, and also he has, she's, she has, it has.
Wait, he's, she's, it can be is or are has.
Yes. That's a really important point the article raises, which we'll come back to ambiguity, but structurally, has can stand for is or has after he, she, it.
Okay, confusing but noted. What about had?
Pronoun plus had becomes ud. So at you, he'd, she'd, we'd, they'd, it.
Simple enough, I'd gone.
Right, and pronoun plus will also becomes ed. You'll, his, you will, they'll, it'll. I'll see you later.
Yeah, and pronoun plus would.
Also becomes ed. Just like had. You, he, she'd, we, did.
So I'd could mean I had or I would.
Exactly. Another point of ambiguity that depends entirely on context.
We definitely need to circle back to how to figure those out. Are there other main types?
Just a couple more structural types mentioned. Modal verb plus have. You often hear could've, should've, would've.
Representing could've, should've, would've often sounds like coulda, shoulda, would've, fast speech, right?
Yes, we'll get to those reductions later, but the standard written contractions are could've, should've, would've, might've, must've.
Okay. And the last type?
Question words plus verb, usually is. So who is who has? What is what has? When's, when is, where is where has? Why's, why is, how is show has.
Again, with the is your has possibility. Who's coming? Who is? Who's got the keys? Who has?
Precisely.
So let's tackle that ambiguity head on. How do you know if he's means he is or he has, or if I'd means I had or I would?
The Open English article stresses that context is absolutely key. You need to look at the grammatical structure that follows the contraction.
Okay, how does that work for issues?
If he's, she's, or its is followed by a past participle like gone, seen, done, then the us means has, forming the present perfect tense. He's gone home. He has gone.
Okay, is plus past participle has.
But if it's followed by a noun, he's a doctor, an adjective, she's happy, a prepositional phrase, it's on the table, or a present participle, he's running, then des means is.
Right. He is a doctor, she is happy, it is on the table, he is running. That makes sense grammatically.
Exactly. The grammar dictates the meaning.
And what about diff for had or would?
Similar logic. If us, you'd, he'd, etc. is followed by a past participle, it usually means had, forming the past perfect. He'd finished before I arrived. He had finished.
Okay. Diff plus past participle had.
But if a diff is followed by the base form of a verb, like go, like prefer, it means would. I'd like a coffee. I would like. He'd go if he had time. He would go.
I would love versus he had done. It's the verb form that comes after the diff that tells you.
Precisely.
Yeah.
You get used to recognizing these patterns quite quickly with practice and exposure.
Okay, that clears up the ambiguity. Now, the article also mentioned those super informal contractions. Use with caution, it said.
Yes, these are common in very casual speech, song lyrics, sometimes informal online chat, but generally not for standard writing or more formal speaking. Understanding them is useful, but using them yourself requires care.
The big one mentioned was ain't. What's the deal with that one? It seems to replace everything.
It's incredibly versatile, historically speaking, though often stigmatized. As the article notes, ain't can stand in for am not, is not, are not, has not, have not, and sometimes even do not, does not, did not in certain dialects.
Wow. So I ain't going, I'm not. He ain't here. He isn't. They ain't finished. They haven't.
Exactly. It's very widespread in some informal varieties of English, but it's often considered non-standard or incorrect in more formal settings. It's good to recognize, but probably best for learners to avoid using it themselves unless they're very comfortable with the specific context.
Good advice. Stick to the standard negatives. What about the gonna, wanna, gotta types?
Right. These represent further reductions common in fast informal speech, often involving the schwa sound rain, the article lists, wanna go to, want to go to, gotta, have to, yes, and the would've, could've, should've become woulda, coulda, shoulda.
Kinda, sorta.
Tree. These all reflect how sounds blend and reduce when people speak quickly and casually.
Again, useful for understanding, maybe less useful for learners to actively produce in most situations.
Generally, yes. Using the standard forms, going to, want to, or the standard contractions, I've got to, is safer and clearer, especially when you're still mastering the basics. But knowing gonna helps you understand when you hear it.
Okay, that's a really thorough look at contractions. Now let's link this to the final major topic, fast speech and reductions, drawing from those YouTube sources, the English Coach, Lingua Marina, Small Advantages. What's the fundamental idea here?
The English Coach video starts with a key insight. Fast English isn't just about talking quickly. It's about how sounds change, merge, and even disappear when words are strung together naturally.
It's not like just speeding up a recording of carefully pronounced words.
Not at all. They stress that English isn't perfectly phonetic spoken words, often sound quite different from how they're written, especially in a continuous stream of speech.
Because words influence each other.
Exactly. Sounds get reduced, linked, assimilated. This is why just reading English doesn't always prepare you for understanding native speakers talking at a normal pace.
The English Coach gave some great examples of these reductions. Can we revisit a few? Like, what are you doing later?
Right. That often becomes what you doing later.
Yeah.
What you squishes into whatcha. The GN doing might drop.
So multiple things happen in just one short sentence?
Definitely. Another was, where is he at? That reduces to, where's he at? The A's contracts to A's. And very often, the H, he gets dropped when it's unstressed.
So it sounds like, where is he at?
Pretty much, yeah. That dropped H in unstressed function words like he, him, her, have is super common. Lingua Marina mentioned this too. Tell him.
Okay. What about did you? Like, did you give it to him?
That becomes did ya give it to him. Did you blends into did ya. And again, him reduces to him.
It's like whole syllables are vanishing.
They often are, or at least becoming much less distinct. How did it go becomes how'd it go. How'd
What do you mean?
What do you mean? It's that schwa sound again, that unstressed.
Can I go? Sound like, gonna go. How does that work?
The vowel sound in can often gets reduced to a schwa, or even disappears when it's unstressed in a question like this, leaving almost just the K and N sounds. Come on.
Wow, that's subtle.
It is. More examples they gave. How's it going? How's it going? Give it to me. Keep it.
Have to, gotta. We saw those with informal contractions.
Exactly. They represent these spoken reductions. Where'd you get them? Where'd you get them? Them reduces to them.
A lot of the time. Of becomes a... Lingua Marina pointed that out too, right? Cup of tea.
Yes. Of reducing to before consonants is extremely common. A lot of money. Piece of cake.
I don't know how to do it.
Becomes, I don't know how to do it. Don't know what to know. Toe reduces to,
Even single words like for her becoming all right to all right. It's everywhere.
It really is. It's the natural sound of connected, fluent English.
The English Coach emphasized listening for patterns over memorizing rules. Why is that better?
Because there are just so many potential reductions, and they depend on context, speed, accent. Trying to learn rigid rules is overwhelming and doesn't really capture the fluidity of it.
It's too complex.
Right. It's more effective to just listen a lot, tune your ear. You'll start to notice these patterns recurring, the dija, the whatcha, the dropped H, the reduced to and of.
And once you recognize them, they become less confusing.
Exactly. Your brain starts to automatically decode whatcha as what are you or what do you. Then gradually you might start incorporating some of the more common ones into your own speech naturally.
Makes sense. Focus on recognition first. Lingua Marina also talked about assimilation. What's that?
Assimilation is when a sound changes to become more like a neighboring sound. It makes pronunciation easier and smoother.
Okay.
Her example was don't you becoming don'tcha. The to sound at the end of don't meets the J sound at the beginning of you, and they merge into a tack or chosh sound. Don't, just don't.
Ah, okay. Like the sounds are blending across word boundaries.
Exactly. Another example she gave was meet you, sometimes sounding like meet you, Mr. Sus. Same process.
She also mentioned whatcha could mean several things.
Yes, depending on context, whatcha could represent what are you, what have you, or what do you, like what you doing, what you got there, what have you, what you think, what do you.
You just know for the rest of the sentence.
Usually, yes. She even gave that funny good boy becoming goop boy example, where the final D of good assimilates to the initial B of boy, becoming more like a P sound in very rapid speech. It shows how extreme blending can get.
It really highlights how different spoken English can be from the textbook version.
Absolutely.
Now, small advantages came at this from the angle of rhythm, particularly the difference between English and Portuguese rhythm.
Yes, this is a really fundamental point. He explained that English is a stress-timed language.
Meaning stress dictates the rhythm.
Right. In a typical English sentence, the time between the main stressed syllables tends to be roughly equal, regardless of how many unstressed syllables are crammed in between.
Okay, so stress syllable, unstressed, unstressed.
Right.
Stress syllable, the gaps between stresses take about the same time.
That's the idea. To maintain this rhythm, the unstressed syllables get squeezed, spoken faster, reduced, maybe even deleted.
So the reductions we've been talking about are partly because of this stress timing to keep the rhythm.
Exactly. Function words like a, the to, in, is, or can, and unstressed syllables within longer words get shortened and weakened so the main stressed beats can land regularly.
And Portuguese is different.
Yes, small advantages pointed out that Portuguese is generally considered syllable-timed. This means each syllable tends to get roughly the same amount of time.
Ta-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta. More even.
More even, yes. So for a Portuguese speaker learning English, this stress-timed rhythm feels very different. It can make English sound uneven or jerky, and it makes it hard to predict which syllables will be rushed over.
And contractions fit into this rhythm idea, too.
Perfectly. Contractions are essentially a way of reducing syllables to help maintain that stress-timed rhythm. It has two syllables, it has one, helps keep the flow.
So understanding English rhythm is key to understanding fast speech. Where does the stress usually fall?
Generally, the stress falls on the important content words, nouns, main verbs, adjectives, adverbs. The function words, articles, prepositions, auxiliary verbs are usually unstressed unless you're emphasizing them for a specific reason.
So in I went to the SRP, went and shop would be stressed.
Most likely, yes. I went to the S shop. To and the would be quick and unstressed.
Learning to listen for that beat, the stressed syllables, could help you follow the overall meaning even if you miss some unstressed bits.
That's a very good strategy, yes. Focus on the stressed words.
Lingua Marina mentioned a couple more specific phonetic things, like the glottal stop.
Right, the glottal stop is that little catch in the throat. She mentioned it often replaces a T sound in certain positions, especially in American English, but also British English dialects.
Like in button, instead of a clear T sound.
Exactly. It might sound more like burn ben, with the glottal stop instead of the T, or water might become warese in some accents. It's another form of reduction that makes speech faster.
And she talked about can versus can't, how stress helps tell them apart.
Yes, this is crucial because the final tat in can't often gets dropped or reduced in fast speech, making it sound very similar to can.
So how do people know the difference?
Stress. Usually the positive can is unstressed in a sentence. I can go, often sounding like can. But the negative can is almost always stressed. I can't go, sounding like can't or even ko with a nasalization and glottal stop. But crucially, it gets the emphasis.
Do you listen for the stress on the word itself? Stressed equals negative, unstressed, positive, usually.
That's the general rule and a very important listening cue.
Okay. And both Lingua Marina and the English coach touched on regional variations, like American versus British English.
Yes, it's important to remember that pronunciation isn't monolithic. How YouTube is pronounced, the vowel in bath or dance, the use of the glottal stop, the way sounds are treated after vowels, it varies.
So learners shouldn't worry if they hear slight differences between speakers.
Not at all. Exposure to different accents is actually very beneficial for improving overall comprehension. The core principles of reductions and rhythm generally apply across accents, even if the specific sounds vary a bit.
Lingua Marina threw in a few other interesting informal bits at the end too, didn't she? Like appreciate it.
Yeah, just mentioning it as a common, slightly faster way to say thank you in some contexts. And no, yeah, yeah, no.
Those are confusing. No, yeah means yes, and yeah, no means no.
Kind of. Yeah, no often means I agree with your negative point, or simply no. No, yeah can mean you're right, despite my initial hesitation, or just yes. Very informal and context dependent.
And I'm afraid, as a polite, I'm sorry.
Yes, particularly in British English, I'm afraid I can't help you sounds a bit softer or more formal than sorry I can't help you.
And a quick mention of they, them pronouns.
Just acknowledging their increasing use as singular gender-neutral pronouns, reflecting changes in language use.
Wow. Okay, that has been an incredibly detailed journey through pronunciation, listening, contractions, and fast speech. My head is spinning slightly, but in a good way.
There's a lot there, for sure, but it all connects. Better listening helps pronunciation, understanding contractions helps with listening to fast speech, understanding rhythm helps decode reductions. It's all linked.
Absolutely. It paints a picture of spoken English that's much more dynamic and, honestly, more complex than just learning words on a page.
It is. And the key message from all our sources is that improvement comes from engagement, active listening, conscious practice, paying attention to how the language actually sounds and flows.
So let's try to summarize the main takeaways for you, our listener. What should you be focusing on?
Well, first, be aware of those potential pronunciation pitfalls, especially if you're a Brazilian Portuguese speaker. The ED endings, TH sounds, final consonants, H sound, vowel length. Awareness is step one.
Right. Know the common targets. Second.
Embrace active listening. Don't just hear, listen. Use techniques like shadowing, repetition, focusing on keywords. Make it a deliberate practice.
Okay. Third takeaway.
Get comfortable with contractions, understand how they're formed when they're used, which is most of the time, and how to decipher the ambiguous ones like he's and I'd using context.
And maybe start using the standard ones more in your own speech to sound more natural.
Exactly. And fourth,
understanding fast speech isn't about speed. It's about rhythm, reductions, linking, assimilation. Train your ear to hear the patterns, the stressed beats, the way sounds change and merge.
Don't be intimidated by it, but start tuning into it. Listen for the whatches and gonas and dropped H's.
And remember, it all takes time and consistent effort. Be patient. Keep practicing.
Absolutely. And definitely check out the resources we mentioned, the articles from CNN Brazil, Instituto World Opportunity, Open English, and the YouTube channels, the English Coach, Lingua Marina, Small Advantages. They offer so much more detail and practice material.
For sure. So as we wrap up, here's something to think about, a final provocative thought perhaps.
Ooh, I like provocative thought.
Consider how digging into these, mechanics of spoken English, the sounds, the rhythm, the shortcuts, like contractions, doesn't just improve your technical skill. How does it also give you a window into maybe the culture or the mindset behind the language?
That's interesting. Like, does the prevalence of contractions and reductions say something about valuing efficiency in communication, perhaps?
Or does the stress-timed rhythm reflect a certain way of highlighting information? What other, even subtler aspects of English, or even your own language, might be shaping communication and understanding in ways you haven't consciously considered before?
That's a deep one. How the very structure and sound of a language might subtly influence thought or cultural norms. Lots to ponder there.
Definitely something to mull over.
Well, this has been fantastic, really comprehensive.
It really has. Thank you so much for sharing all that expertise and breaking it down for us.
My pleasure. It's a fascinating area.
And a huge thank you to you, our listeners, for staying with us to this very deep dive. We hope you found it valuable.
We really appreciate you tuning in.
Thanks again for listening, everyone. We'll catch you in the next deep dive.
Bye for now.